Welcome back to Secrets of Superpowers. Last time, we delved into the Reich's most incredible technological secret, the Ahnenerbe and Vril flying discs. But where did this dizzying ambition for mystical technology come from? Who funded these insane ideas while discarding conventional science? The answer lies in the most chilling and least understood organization of the Third Reich, Ahnenerbe, or the ancestral heritage. This was not merely a research institute. It was the occult, ideological brain of the SS, created by Heinrich Himmler. Its goal was to scientifically prove the myth of the Aryan superrace and locate the source of ancient Aryan wisdom that would grant the Reich invincibility. We will trace the history of this organization. From its seemingly innocent start as an archaeological society to its transformation into a cruel, occult medical structure that conducted deadly experiments. We will witness their esoteric searches in the distant corners of the world, from Tibet to the Andes. We will uncover exactly how the Ahnenerbe's mysticism funded the ideas that later led to Die Glocke and Base 211. This is the story of how an ideology steeped in mysticism and fanaticism became the driving force behind some of the 20th century's most horrific crimes. Prepare yourself. This is the Ahnenerbe. Creation and purpose, Himmler and the Aryan myth. The Ahnenerbe organization was founded in 1935 by three key figures, but its true inspiration was Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS. Himmler was obsessed with mysticism, the occult, and the idea of blood purity. The formal goal of the ancestral heritage was simple: to conduct research into the history of race, genealogy, and heritage with the aim of authenticating the greatness of the German people. Its actual purpose was deeply ideological: to use archaeology, anthropology, and occultism to create a historical foundation for the myth of the Aryan race. Himmler viewed the SS not just as a military or political force, but as an order of modern-day Teutonic knights destined to revive ancient Aryan religion and wisdom. The Ahnenerbe was his scientific branch, designed to legitimize this utopia. Over time, the Ahnenerbe grew, absorbing entire university departments and institutes, becoming a parallel state structure that dictated what constituted true German science. Funding fantasies, from archaeology to the Wunderwaffe. At first glance, the Ahnenerbe's activities looked like a strange mix of archaeological digs and philological studies. But their search for ancient power had a direct impact on technology. Firstly, the budget. The Ahnenerbe, funded through the SS, had access to resources that surpassed the budgets of many traditional universities. This allowed them to finance high-risk, unorthodox projects that would have been rejected by conventional scientific committees. Secondly, the ideology. Underlying the ideas they funded was the concept of world ice theory, Welteislehre, by Hans Horbiger, a theory that rejected accepted physics and claimed the universe was primarily made of ice. While scientifically absurd, this theory legitimized alternative physics, which, in turn, opened the door for the ideas behind Die Glocke and the Vril anti-gravity discs. The belief that ancient Aryans possessed free energy was the ideological foundation for the search for new propulsion systems. The Tibet expedition, searching for the root of the race. One of the most famous and enigmatic operations of the Ahnenerbe was the Tibet expedition of 1938 to 1939. Led by Ernst Schaefer, the official goal was to study local flora and fauna. The true purpose, however, was to find the pure, uncorrupted root of the Aryan race. Himmler was convinced that the ancestors of the Aryans originated from a mystical region in the Himalayas. Schaefer, a fanatic and zoologist, conducted skull measurements and anthropological studies of the local population. Seeking evidence to confirm the Reich's racial theory Die T is with Tibet that the legend of Shambhala and Agartha, mystical underground cities, is associated. It is believed that the Ahnenerbe sought not only pure human specimens but also secret knowledge on world control, which, according to legend, was preserved in these hidden centers. The results of the expedition, including countless measurements and photos, were classified and became part of the SS's ideological library searches in the north, Valhalla and World Ice. The Ahnenerbe's activities were not limited to exotic countries. Significant attention was paid to Northern Europe, particularly Iceland and Finland, places believed to retain the purest Nordic heritage. A key figure was Hermann Wirth, who studied mystical runes and symbols, attempting to prove that the Nordic peoples were the source of all world civilization. He was a primary proponent of the Welteislayer, world ice theory. This theory, although pseudoscientific, had a massive influence on Himmler. The idea that a great primordial race lived in the north and was destroyed by cosmic ice motivated Nazi searches in Antarctica. It provided the ideological rationale for Base 211 as a possible place where pure Aryans could have survived a cosmic catastrophe and preserved their technology. Thus, the ideological fantasy of the Ahnenerbe directly influenced military strategic planning. The transition to terror, the military wing and the SS, with the start of the war, the Ahnenerbe radically shifted its focus. Under Himmler's total control, it transformed from a research institute into a direct instrument of war crimes and terror. By 1942, the Ahnenerbe became virtually integrated into the SS and gained unlimited access to concentration camps. Archaeology and mythology receded, replaced by medical research. The Ahnenerbe oversaw zoological collections, the collection of skulls and skeletons of inferior races to create pseudoscientific evidence for racial theory Dachau experiments. Ahnenerbe-affiliated doctors, such as Sigmund Rascher, conducted horrific experiments on prisoners, testing the effects of hypothermia, freezing, low atmospheric pressure for aviators, and drinking seawater. These experiments were justified by the scientific needs of the Reich, but their true root was the Ahnenerbe's ideology, which dehumanized the victims. The skull from Tibet, creating a racial museum, expanded. One of the most morbid and concrete projects of the Ahnenerbe was the creation of the Skeleton Collection or Racial Museum. This was a step far beyond academic racism and directly into murder. In 1943, Professor August Hirt, a key figure in the Ahnenerbe's darkest branch, was the driving force. Hirt convinced Himmler that a collection was urgently needed to document the biology of the Jewish race before it was totally eradicated. His motivation was not curiosity, but preservation of scientific evidence for the victors of the supposed thousand-year Reich. Hirt specifically requested that a group of 86 Jewish men and women be transported from Auschwitz. These victims were methodically selected, measured, photographed, and their physical characteristics catalogued. They were then sent to the Natzweiler Struthof camp. There, they were gassed and murdered specifically so their bodies could be preserved. Hirt planned to have their skeletons cleaned, prepared, and displayed in the Anatomy Institute of Strasbourg University, which was under the Ahnenerbe's control. This project was only stopped when the Allies advanced on Strasbourg. The discovery of the bodies by the French revealed the chilling truth. The Ahnenerbe was not just about ancient myths. It was a systematic, murderous mechanism designed to provide pseudoscientific proof for genocide. This chilling episode is one of the clearest testaments to how the ideological search for heritage directly led to the most barbaric crimes. Missing artifacts and the treasures of Ahnenerbe expanded as the Reich entered its death throes. The Ahnenerbe, much like other secretive structures, went into overdrive to hide its most sensitive and valuable assets. The treasures of the Ahnenerbe were unique. They were not primarily gold, but priceless cultural artifacts and critical documentation that detailed their occult and technological research we're talking about. Runic and occult texts, thousands of pages of secret research on runology, Nordic mysticism, the history of Atlantis, and the search for Shambhala were gathered in various castles and isolated libraries across Germany and Austria. The most critical volumes, often handwritten or compiled by Himmler's inner circle, vanished without a trace and are still actively sought by collectors and researchers today. Anthropological and medical files, the vast documentation of their criminal experiments, hypothermia, low pressure, was also hidden. Allied intelligence spent years trying to locate these files, not only to prosecute war criminals but also because the data, however immorally obtained, was of potential military value. Techno-occult overlap, crucially, because the Ahnenerbe financed research into anti-traditional physics, like the Weltallslehre. Many of their financial and scientific documents likely overlap directly with the blueprints for the Hornebu discs or the funding for the Die Glocke project in the Ries complex. This hidden archive is the key to linking the occult research to the military superweapons. The organized disappearance of the Ahnenerbe's archives, either burned on Himmler's direct order or intercepted and classified by the Allies, underscores the immense value they placed on preventing these secrets, both mystical and technological, from falling into enemy hands. Wewelsburg, the dark heart of the SS Order, new section. No discussion of the Ahnenerbe is complete without examining its spiritual headquarters, Wewelsburg Castle, this isolated, triangular-shaped castle in North Rhine-Westphalia was personally chosen by Heinrich Himmler in 1934. He intended to transform it into the center of the world after the final victory, the ultimate ceremonial and ideological meeting place for his SS order. It was essentially the Vatican of the Ahnenerbes. Cult. Himmler spent fortunes renovating the castle, turning its north tower into a massive complex of ceremonial rooms. The Obergruppenführer's Hall, this large circular room, was designed for the highest-ranking SS leaders. The floor features a mosaic of the Schwarz-Sonne, Black Sun, a symbol later co-opted by neo-Nazis and occultists. This symbol, based on ancient Germanic sun wheels, was supposed to harness cosmic power. The crypt, directly below the Black Sun Hall, a ceremonial crypt was built. This was intended as a spiritual resting place for deceased SS leaders, where eternal flames would commemorate the Knights of the Order. Wewelsburg was where Himmler's fantasies, nurtured by the Ahnenerbe's pseudo-historical research, took physical form. It represented the ultimate goal, the creation of a 1,000-year mystical military elite fueled by both advanced technology and a revived, dark pagan religion. The castle was destroyed by the SS themselves in 1945 to prevent its secrets from being captured. Conclusion: The legacy of pseudoscience and enduring influence expanded. At the Nuremberg trials, the crimes committed under the Ahnenerbe's auspices were meticulously documented. Many of its key figures, including Rascher and Hirt, were condemned for their brutal human experimentation. But the dark legacy of the Ahnenerbe is still felt today. Its influence manifested in two key, intertwined spheres fueling modern conspiracy. The Ahnenerbe created the ideal template for Cold War and modern conspiracy theories. The idea of a government running an occult scientific group that hunts for ancient, world-changing power became the core narrative for countless stories about hidden UFO technology, secret bases, and esoteric archaeology. Think Indiana Jones. But dark, the technological wildcard. While the vast majority of Ahnenerbe's scientific findings were demonstrably absurd, their official backing of anti-traditional and unconventional ideas created the intellectual environment where extremely high risk. Out-of-the-box concepts like the Weltise layer and the search for gyroscopic propulsion could thrive. That tiny fraction of their work that touched on unorthodox physics is the wild card that continues to haunt military research to this day. The Ahnenerbe serves as a stark, chilling example of what happens when ideological fanaticism is fused with scientific authority. It shows how the desperate search for a mythical past can pave the way for a truly horrific future. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into how occultism became the engine of war. The story of the Ahnenerbe forces us to ask, can a fanatical belief in myths pose a greater threat than any weapon? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If the compelling secrets of the past intrigue you, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Secrets of Superpowers. Next time, we move from mysticism to the material, the Wunderwaffe. We will delve deep into the revolutionary, yet often unfinished projects that were meant to save the Reich, from the gigantic rat tanks and super heavy cannons to secret nuclear developments. We will see how German engineers tried to change the course of the war with a single, impossible shot. See you in the next episode.